The first time I went to the parade was actually when I was a little kid. It was in the 1950s. So it was only a few years after the parade started going down Fifth Avenue. I was, of course, enthused and excited as a young boy. I was tremendously enthused. We went with the family, we had relatives, we had other friends. We were in Central Park. I remember as a kid climbing on gigantic rocks to look at, because they had, big rocks that you could overlook the parade. We would go there and look at the parade. It was just an amazing time period for me. It was fantastic. The first parade that took place in New York, and probably the first parade in the United States, was in 1893. It really stemmed from a visit of Prince George, who came to New York under tremendous fanfare in 1891. It elevated the people with regards to not only, being part of the mosaic, the Hellenic mosaic, but also at that time there was no Greek church here in New York. And he also recommended that. So the people who put together the parade was the fellow who was the publisher of the Atlantis newspaper, the Atlantida, as they say in Greek. And it was 1893. He spoke to the mayor of New York at the time, who was Thomas Gilroy. And they decided to have a parade in Lower Manhattan, really in the Broadway area, because at that time, that's where the immigrant community was, both on the west side of Broadway and also on the eastern side of Broadway. And one of the things that they wanted to do is to acknowledge the Hellenic people, because don't forget, what's important that many people forget is that the Greek Revolution was very important not only to the people who happened to be Greek, but it was very important also to the people of America. In my life, we would go every year to the parade. All Greeks would go to the parade, and Americans would be enthused at that parade. Everybody would wait for this parade. It was an amazing thing to see this down Fifth Avenue. And again, at that time, I was going to my church when I was younger. It was St. Constantine and Helen. I would be on the float. There was one year that we had like the Olympic Games type things, and I was the discus thrower. Okay, I was like half naked as a discus thrower as a teenager. And then obviously later when I got married and I had children, I would also take my children to the parade, and my children would be in the floats. My children would be dressed as amalíes or soldados or what have you, and they would also march in the parade. And this was a yearly thing, okay, so this was a constant thing. And then obviously when my children got older and they had their own children, my grandchildren were in the parade and they were on the floats and things of that nature. So the parade here in New York, certainly for those who have been here generations, is something that's part of the family. In other words, it relates to our grandparents, it relates to our parents, it relates to our grandchildren. So it's a wonderful thing. And the actual first parade down Fifth Avenue was in 1951. And the parade since then, the New York parade has been down Fifth Avenue. And that's a coveted situation because they're really not allowing any other parades to continue to go Fifth Avenue. And that's why it was important post-COVID, when we finally are going to do the parade again after 2 years, that we march down Fifth Avenue, because legally it's grandfathered for us to go down Fifth Avenue. If we don't march down Fifth Avenue, we can potentially lose going down Fifth Avenue, because they really don't want people to march down Fifth Avenue because it's an expensive situation. They have to close down all the streets, they have to have the police and things of that nature. So it's a wondrous thing, a prize thing that we are marching down Fifth Avenue. It's very important, obviously, that everyone attend this parade. And it's a great parade. It's going to be a wonderful parade for the Federation of Hellenic Societies here in New York. We have different themes, obviously, that are extremely important. the bicentennial parade here in New York of the Hellenic Revolution. We have the 100th anniversary of HEPA. We have the 100th anniversary of the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese. And of course, the 2,500th anniversary of the Battle of Thermopylae, the Battle of Salamis, the Battle of Plataea, and also, importantly, the commemoration of the anniversary of the final aspect of the Hellenic Christian genocide with the burning of Smyrna in 1922. And we want everyone, grandmothers, parents, children, to come to the parade and also to invite others. Again, this is not a parade just for Hellenic people. It's a parade for all Americans. And we want to make it that type of parade, an inclusive parade, a parade about freedom. Freedom here in the States, freedom in Hellas, freedom throughout the world, and also freedom for the Parthenon marbles, which were sold as metaphorically as slaves into London, and we want them to return back and have the freedom that they deserve. So that's what it's all about for this parade. Let's all do it. Let's make it a success.